When Trump first announced he was running in 2024, I don't think anyone was really shocked. If anything, I think that they were more shocked how early it was, since it was right after the 2022 midterms.
4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years! 4 more years!
On day one, we will terminate every open borders policy of the Biden administration.
I think many people, including myself, believed that the only person who could really put up a fight against President Trump in the primary was Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida, and we saw throughout the primary his poll numbers just consistently going down, and I think that's when people realized that Ron DeSantis isn't going to win the primary, and that's when Trump got a huge rush of people, and that's when he really became the solid nominee. At the start of the 2024 election, we had two presumptive nominees, Joe Biden for the Democrats and Donald Trump for the Republicans. And first it was pretty close in the polls, and nobody really knew what to expect, considering how far out we were, too. But when we started getting further into summer, people started realizing Biden's not doing well in the polls, and I think that's because of his age. Now, people saw that he wasn't doing the best mentally, necessarily. I think that's partly the reason why the Joe Biden team wanted to debate so early in the 2024 election. They did it in the summer of 2024, and I think that debate reassured voters that Biden is not fit mentally, and that's when I think that they really decided that Biden can't do this and we need to replace him if we want to have a chance at winning. I remember exactly what I was doing the day that Trump was shot. July 13th, 2024. I came home, I was listening to the Trump rally on my phone on his YouTube channel, and I was listening to it live, and I got home, I came to my room, and I started cleaning my bedroom because it was very messy, and that I was listening to it as I was cleaning, and all of a sudden I heard these noises go off and Trump stopped speaking. So I stopped what I was doing, I kind of froze, and then I heard the words, "Get down, get down." I instantly ran over to my phone to see that President Trump was on the ground, and I was like, is this it? Was he really just shot? And to my shock, I brought my phone over to the living room because I was just in shock. I was like needing to know what happened next. So after a few minutes, President Trump got up, he raised his fist and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." And that's when I personally thought that, especially when he was still going up against Joe Biden, that I thought that he kind of had this thing in the bag. The first night of the RNC on Monday night, I remember being shocked when I heard that Trump picked Vance as his running mate. Now, I knew he was one of the top choices to be his vice president, but I truly did believe that Marco Rubio was going to be the vice president nominee, and I thought that J.D. Vance, being a freshman senator, he didn't really have a great chance at being picked at Trump's vice president. I actually went to the RNC the night that J.D. Vance spoke and Kaya Trump spoke. They gave great speeches. I remember the night that we went to J.D. Vance's speech at the RNC. He gave a great speech. I thought it was wonderful how he presented it. I thought he was a great speaker, and I kind of thought then, this guy can probably really defend Trump. Kaya Trump, I thought she gave a great speech at the RNC. I thought it really humanized Donald Trump, and I thought she did a great job helping the audience and everyone watching at home see how she saw her grandpa, which was just a regular everyday grandpa who calls her, checks in on her, stuff like that. I thought she gave a wonderful speech at the RNC. And then all of a sudden, shortly after the RNC was over, we got breaking news. Joe Biden had dropped out of the 2024 presidential election. Now, I think a lot of people saw this coming, but a lot of people were shocked also. Because up until that point, the Democrats were so confident that this is our nominee, we're not switching to Kamala Harris, and this is the guy who's going to win the election for us. And I think that's what shocked a lot of Democrats, how they just kicked Biden out like that. I remember interviewing some Democrats, and they said that it was okay, but within a week, Kamala Harris was the new presumptive nominee for the Democratic Party. one thing I do want to point out from the one Harris rally I did go to was I thought it was very strange because I went with my brother, and I was recording a video just for my YouTube channel saying how we were entering the line and like we're almost inside, and I had this either security guard or staffer come up to us, and he was like, "So are you an influencer or?" And this is where I made the mistake. I was thinking in my mind, if I say yes, he's going to ask what it is, they're going to look it up, other people are going to ask what it is, and I'm going to end up getting kicked out. So I said, well, I would love for this to be one of my first videos. That was my mistake. So he says, okay, he walks away, and then he comes back after a little while, and then he says, could you step aside with me real quick for a second? So I step aside with him, and he says, who are you here with today? And I say, my brother. So he has my brother step aside, so we're both just standing to the side of the line. We're about 10-ish people away from the metal detectors, and he looks me dead straight in the eyes, and he goes, who else are you here with today? And I said, no one, sir. And then he looks me in the eyes again, and he says, are you sure you're not here with anyone else? And I said, yes. And then he looks me, and then he stares into my eyes, and he goes, are you 100% sure this is the only person you're here with today? And I replied, yes. Then about a minute of silence goes by. Keep in mind, he pulled us aside. We're waiting for him to say something. So about a minute of silence goes by. And then he says, oh, we'll let you back in line in a minute here. Then about another minute of silence goes by. And then finally he says, you two can get back in line now. So we get back in line, and then it's like a minute or two. We're about 5 people away from the metal detectors at this point. And then he comes back, and he comes up to us, and he goes, just so you know, we'll have somebody watching you when you get in there to make sure you're not causing any disruption. I replied, yes, thank you. And then we got inside the rally. I thought that Kamala Harris went with what I thought the election was going to be. I think that this entire election, whether you like him or hate him, the entire election was about Trump. The majority of Kamala Harris's speech when I went to go see her in person was about how Donald Trump's evil and not fit to be president rather than her policies. The only thing that she said that she was going to do in her speech was support our allies in Ukraine. After that speech, we went home, and that was the Kamala Harris rally. Then we get to election night. Now, I knew people who were cheering for Kamala Harris, and I knew a lot of people who were cheering for Trump to win. Me personally, going into election night, I was very worried. I thought that Kamala Harris was going to win the election because I heard reports of people who I knew personally saying that there were dots on their ballots and weird things like that, and they did ask for new ballots, but I thought it was very interesting how many reports came out that there were tiny dots under Kamala Harris's name, and I don't know how often this happened, but I know a few people personally who said that this happened to them. So I truly did believe up until about probably 10 o'clock that Kamala Harris was going to win the election. After about 10 o'clock, however, I started getting hopeful. I saw that Pennsylvania was getting closer and closer, and then eventually I saw it flip. I was on the phone and with a friend, and we were talking about how Trump might actually have a shot to win this thing. Then around 12:30 my time rolls around, and Fox News finally calls it. Donald Trump has won the state of Wisconsin, putting him over the 270 electoral votes mark. I was so excited, but I was shocked that President Trump won, but so grateful. What I haven't told many of you is that I was in Washington, D.C. for the inauguration. I had this ticket to go to the inauguration. We didn't have necessarily the best seating, like the VIP seating, but we had seats to the inauguration when it was still outdoors. On January 19th, 2025, we decided we were going to go to the President Trump victory rally, and we got there about 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we thought that, oh, there's 5,000 people here probably. It was a lot of people there already, and we thought that there's no way we don't get in. If we wait long enough, we'll get in. The stadium fits 20,000. We should get in, no problem, right? I had friends who were camping out overnight, and they got in fairly quickly. But then we waited about 7.5, 8 hours, and then we realized that people started cutting in line. Some of them were even threatening my own brother.
Look, trust me, I've done this before. Let's go, buddy. What are you gonna do, buddy? Come on, buddy. Why would I swing it? We want to get arrested, but you ain't saying.
Luckily, some of the people in line with us tried everything they could to stop these people from budging in line and taking spots away from people who waited hours in line. This was the first time I've ever seen anything like this at a Trump rally. All day there was National Guard and police officers there making sure that no one was budging and everyone was staying in line and that all the people were getting to the back of the line nice and safe and all that stuff. And then all of a sudden we turn this corner and all of a sudden there's no National Guard anywhere. The police officers are all gone, and all of a sudden everyone starts creeping in, squishing together, and making the line like more jam-packed, and everyone starts budging. No one is by the people they were with earlier that morning. It was total chaos. We did what we could to stop people from budging in line, but eventually it came time. People started shoving a little bit more. They started pushing. We saw people who were in the right line moving up like a ton, and we were like, why aren't we moving? It was because of all the people budging in line. There were hundreds, if not thousands, of people budging in line, and we didn't know it because there was no National Guard there or police there. This guy called out that he was going to go get the National Guard and police, which he went to go to try to find them, to which they were all gone. When people started shoving and jamming together, we decided we wanted to get out of there before things could have gotten bad. But I saw with my own 2 eyes that there were people opening the gates and creating their own new lines from the real line. It was so bad that people who thought they were going in the real line were cutting in front of people who had been in line for hours.
We got in line at around 8 o'clock this morning. There were probably about 5,000 people in line that we got in line, and now all of a sudden it is 3:50-ish, and people are budging and cutting in line by the... Chaos has broken out here at Capital One Arena. There was pushing, there was shoving, there was people cutting in line by the hundreds and thousands, and I'm glad that we made it out because this was a complete disaster. Never seen before at a Trump rally that I've been to. This was a disaster.
We then went to a Dunkin' Donuts after we left and realized we couldn't get in. And we were talking to some people. I don't know if this is true, but they told us that they think that the reason that all of a sudden, just like in the snap of a finger, there were no police or National Guard there anymore is they think it was the mayor of Washington, D.C., and that since President Trump wasn't necessarily president yet, that they didn't have to do as much to protect him, and they wanted to cause chaos. Once again, I don't know if that's 100% true, but that's what some people told us in the Dunkin' Donuts. Then finally, Monday, the day of the inauguration, comes. Unfortunately, after they moved it indoors, these tickets became useless unless you had VIP access. So we went to this office.
Now we're walking up this direction. We're hoping to get inside before, because you know they moved the inauguration inside. It's really unfortunate that happened, security reasons and stuff like weather prevented it from happening outside. But I can't wait to get inside. We're gonna watch it in the next few hours when it happens. And yeah, let's get ready for this.
President Trump gave a great speech, and I thought he did a great job, and I hope we have a great 4 years. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you love America.